Hello and welcome to National Focus. I'm Pearl Fontaine. Thanks for joining us. Topping the headlines, Dr. Carissa Etienne seeks one more vote to win top PAHO position. The Ministry of Agriculture speaks to farmers about managing the Black Sikatoka disease, and government voices its commitment to road development on the island. All these stories and more when National Focus returns. Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. Government in the new financial year will continue to pay attention to the rehabilitation of the island's road network. Based on an audit performed on the island's road conditions, it has been projected that 60% of the island's main roads will be improved by 2015. The current administration projects that by 2020, 100% of the island's road network will be in a much better state. Minister for Public Works, Honourable Rayburn Blackmore, told Parliament recently that efforts to repair community roads will continue.
As of June of this year, 52% of our roads are in good condition. And by the end of this year, 61% will be in good condition. We will spend over $300 million to get to that level we are now talking about. But we have to continue to place focus on our community roads. That's why, Madam Speaker, we are now placing emphasis on the delices in Grand Bay, soon to come Ladikoko, Piti Savan, etc., all these areas, Campbell, and etc. And I want to give the people of St. Joseph the assurance that we're already having discussion with a major contracting firm to start the construction of the St. Joseph River Wall. And I think that is what this government is all about, because we all suffered as a result of a failure. And the list goes on, Madam Speaker. We have already started doing work in Grand Form. So apart from the West Coast Road, Lot 2, Lot 1, the Point Michel Seawall, we are placing emphasis on the various portions of this country in addressing our road condition.
Assistant Director General of the World Health Organization, WHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, is in search of one additional country to secure her vote as the new director of the Pan-American Health Organization, PAHO. Dr. Etienne is one of 5 candidates vying for the position and is looking to secure a total of 20 votes. During an exclusive interview with GIS News on Tuesday, Dr. Etienne confirmed that Dominica has already received the commitment of 19 countries.
It is a difficult election. We do have 5 candidates running for the position, and there are 38 voting member states. And the CARICOM vote is very important because we have 14 CARICOM countries. We need 20 votes to win. So, so we have 14 and we have 5 Latin Americans. So we must continue to strive.
Dr. Etienne confirms that the campaign has been a rigorous one thus far.
I think we have been helped by some friendly countries in this, and we have had to visit the embassies in Washington, accompanied by our ambassador to OAS and the US, Ambassador Hubert Charles, and I had to do a lot of visits also in Washington. Our Minister of Health has also been quite active in working with other ministers of health. So it has been a collective effort, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Health.
The Caribbean Community Secretariat, CARICOM, through its membership body, has indicated that they will support Dominica's candidacy for the position of Director General of PAHO. Dr. Etienne is grateful for the tremendous level of support shown by Dominica, especially that of the Prime Minister, Honourable Roosevelt Skerrit, who has made representation on her behalf at both the CARICOM and international levels.
Our Prime Minister has really been a champion. He has used his contacts. He has made representation at the very highest levels. not only with CARICOM, but CARICOM included, but also with other countries.
Dr. Achen has served since 2008 as the Assistant Director General for Health Systems and Services at the World Health Organization in Geneva, Switzerland. She is a globally recognized public health champion and advocate, improving access to health care for poor and marginalized populations. Dr. Achen is confident that she has the capacity and experience to head the Pan American Health Organization in this major leadership role. She itemized some of her major priorities if she is to assume this new role.
When I'm director of the Pan American Health Organization, I shall focus on ensuring that the organization continues in excellence.
The election is due the week beginning September 17, 2012. If confirmed to the position next year, Dr. Achen will be the first Dominican to hold this position. In other news, officials of the Ministry of Agriculture recently confirmed the presence of the black Sigatoka disease on Dominican farms. Black Sigatoka is a leaf spot disease of banana and plantain plants. Plants with leaves damaged by the disease may have up to 50% lower yield of fruit. With the emergence of the dreaded disease on the island, agriculture officials here have embarked on a major program to manage the spread of the disease. Part of their campaign includes the education of farmers island-wide on the identification and management of the disease. Agriculture officials and extension officers are visiting farms to deliver this message to the farmers.
Sometimes you have a plant, and that's a typical example. From here I can see some stage 3s. All right, so if just that part of the leaf is infested, you can just, use the cutlass or the same tool and take off the infested part of the leaf, drop it down. Because while you will not see the full yellow of it, you notice the stage 3s here, and these stage 3s are reproductive.
For the plants that are severely affected, more immediate action is necessary.
A plant like this, once you approach it, you see that all the leaves are infested. Yeah. Okay? So that plant will be very difficult for it to bring a bunch to full maturity. So it makes no sense to have this here just continue to produce spores and distributing in the atmosphere, infesting other plants and eventually other farms, because it's also a wind-borne disease. So it would just make sense to just take off that plant. Can I?
That's what I was going to ask. In a case where all the leaves infested, let's just cut off the entire
just
plant.
Take off the plant, because it's not going. If you take off this, this, you have no leaves left.
Makes no sense.
And it's only the leaves that bring the fruit to maturity.
But no.
Farmers have been advised that use of proper procedure is important in the destruction of damaged plants to prevent further contamination of the field.
So you normally just follow the same procedure of de-leafing and placing the leaves one on top of the other. Placing the leaves one on top of the other, again, to ensure that all sporulation, or most of the sporulation, goes into the ground. And then this, even that leaf has black. This brack that we have there.
That is the entire plant.
So the entire plant, you see it remains no more leaves.
Agriculture officials also have their eye on another disease which has affected the island's fruit trees for years, the citrus greening disease. However, head of the Plant Quarantine and Protection Unit, Ryan Ansem, says that measures are being taken to manage the disease.
This release of the Tamarix is part of the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry overall strategy in the management of the recently intercepted citrus greening, scientifically known as Wang Longbing. So this morning we're here to release this very effective natural enemy, and this parasitoid was donated by the University of Florida, part of the technical assistance to manage citrus greening throughout the Caribbean countries.
In more news, the government of Dominica is committed to assisting young people to develop new skills in an effort to generate income and become productive citizens. Minister for Trade, Honourable Dr. Colin McIntyre, gave the commitment during a recent interview with GIS News. The minister's comments came on the heels of a visit to the Titu Gorge, where a reception facility is currently being constructed by a group of young people.
In the budget this year, we have $500,000, which is $500,000 already placed there for programs like that. And thus we are developing the various modules based on the interest of the people, of course. We don't want to be shoving things down people's throats. We want to, you talk with us, you look at the priority areas, we're looking at the needs of the country. Oftentimes, for example, your toilet may be blocked, you have a problem with your pipe and whatnot. It's difficult to find a plumber. So we'd like to train more of these guys, you know. And we're not looking at trying to say, you know, look at you trying to compete with any other institution. In the small business support unit, based on the demands, based on the requests that's coming to us, we are seeing more and more where we have to be retooling our people for the future. And this is what helps the country a lot. You see, not everybody will end up going to a university. But it doesn't mean that because a man didn't attend university that he hasn't got some kind of skill. And he has his strength, he's young, he's loaded with energy. Instead of just letting the young guys, allowing them, to just go by the wayside, sit, you know, and not do much at all, which is very unproductive, because the development of a country is highly dependent on the strength of its young people. And the young folks are the ones who we need to build this country. That is why we see it very important. We need to retool our young men.
Incidentally, one group of young men from the Roseau Valley have already begun acquiring new skills. The 5 men are currently learning the basics of stonework as they work on the Titu Gorge reception facility. Garvin Xavier is facilitating the training program.
We're doing the stonework right now. The stone cutting was kind of a little challenging because them guys was fresh to it. But by slow and surely, we're getting the hang of it. Right now we prepare stone for like 2 weeks and we're in the 3rd week of the process. So the 3rd week I'm teaching them right now how to lay down. But the laying is kind of more challenging for them because throughout you have to do the different cuttings and the fittings. But as far as we go in, they're getting the hang of it and it will be quite successful, as I could tell for a fact.
Xavier believes other young men should learn this skill.
At first it might be a little difficult, but as time goes by, you know, like my students and them right now, they're enjoying the process, you know. It's kind of hard, but as long as you're going with it, when you get the basics of it, it's not quite simple, but it's hard at the same time. But I would encourage other young men, you know, to, if they could find themselves, maybe not even in stone cutting, but other little programs, you know, encourage young people, you know, to do certain things positive with their life, you know.
Chairman of the Independent Regulatory Commission, Eliud Williams, says the commission will continue to work with the Dominica Electricity Services, DOMLEC, to seek lower rates for consumers. Williams made the remark as he addressed the media launch of a week of activities in observance of the 5th anniversary of the IRC.
Our primary concern is about having fair and reasonable rates. We want to be sure the rates that are offered are affordable to the consumer. The rates that people pay now for electricity has 2 parts. You have a base rate and then you have the fuel surcharge. The base rate, as was mentioned, has to be approved by the IRC, but that would obviously be in the future because we inherited rates that were already given to DOMLEC. And the fuel surcharge is basically a pass-on. So to the extent that fuel prices are rising on the international market, there isn't much that we can do. So we have to ensure that DOMLEC is as efficient as it can be. And I think the records will show that they have in fact been taking steps, you may say because of the presence of the IRC, to reduce system-wide losses, whether these losses were technical or whether they were administrative. So to say whether we are satisfied, I think it would be more correct to say that we're continuing to work with DOMLEC because we would like to see even better rates than those that exist today.
Williams also noted that DOMLEC has been making a significant effort to meet its obligation to the regulators.
They have been reporting regularly. It would be fair to say we've not always had all the reports in the manner that we would have liked, and there's a good reason for that. We experienced the same thing in liberalization of telecommunications. When a monopoly has been operating and basically reporting to itself and reporting in very general terms to the government, this is one thing. Your systems are developed to do just that. when you must now report to a regulator which has mandate in law to tell you how to do things so that they are done properly, there is a rearrangement that must be undertaken within the organization so that, in fact, you can report in keeping with the standards imposed by the regulator. So it would not be true to say we have had 100% satisfaction with Domlec, but we see evidence that they are continuing to do things better, do things differently, so that, in fact, they can satisfy the conditions set by the regulator.
And rape is proving to be a very prevalent problem on the island. So says Jacqueline Douglas, a licensed clinical counselor. Douglas was speaking with Mervyn Paul on GIS's Insight program on Tuesday morning when she revealed that the issue is more common than previously thought, and in some cases, victims are being regularly raped.
There are a lot of people, a lot of women, and there is a separate category of children that I'm not even going to spend much time on, but women that have been raped, that are being raped on a regular basis, and it's affecting them, and they feel that they are alone in that they cannot talk about it, and it alienates them, and they're suffering.
Councillor Douglas stated that a number of myths are embraced by the community that make it harder for victims to report rape incidents.
There are a lot of myths. Our whole island is operating under some myths, big myths about rape, and that makes it difficult for the victim to come forward.
She said that victims never deserve to be raped, although there is a notion by some that some women invite the abuse.
A woman can dress however she wants. I dare say she could go down the road butt naked. That may be poor judgment, but that does not give the right to another individual to rape her. You can go out to somebody. I could visit a friend at midnight, you know? It could be a boyfriend. I could have a boyfriend for 6 months. That does not give him the right to force sex on me. Every sexual act is an individual decision, you know? So it is a myth that, okay, she was there and she was on the beach alone. Yes, poor decision given, you know, that the possibility, but that it does not make it okay, it does not make it right.
The councillor also noted that statutory rape and its psychological effects can cause serious long-term harm to victims.
I believe it's supposed to be essentially one man, one woman. That is, you marry the person, the person you enter your first relationship with. That has its issues, but the way we do it is like we go out with multiple partners. Each time you have sex with somebody, you kind of form a bond that goes beyond the physical bond of that person. And then you go on to the other partner, and then some of that stays with you. You know, you'd end up comparing. When you're overly exposed, you find yourself sometimes not being satisfied with this one husband because, you know, you've been all over the place. So it has its issues. When you're raped also, and you don't get treatment, you find yourself, that is something that perpetuates in generations. I see that a lot where the person I'm seeing, their mother, was sexually assaulted. They were sexually assaulted and they're mortally afraid for some reason that, for obvious reason, that their daughter is going to be sexually assaulted. And sometimes I see it over generations, 3 generations, 4 generations.
Councillor Douglas believes that society's approach to sex needs to be re-evaluated, and in order to address the problem, people need to be educated on a number of issues relating to sex. GIS News will bring you more from that interview in Wednesday's newscast. And that's news. When we come back, we'll bring you the upcoming events and government notices. Please stay tuned.
Let your spirit take to flight. Let your heart run free and wild. Find your soul in Dominica, the nature Time now for your government notices.
The Eastern Caribbean Securities Regulatory Commission wishes to advise the public of the following license revocations. The principal license number DMPL-0006-10 of Mr. Stephen Lander, who has accredited to National Mortgage Finance Company of Dominica. Mr. Lander has ceased to carry on the business of a principal in the Eastern Caribbean securities market. The representative license number AG-RR-0003-03 of Mr. Selwyn Horsford, who is accredited to the National Bank of Anguilla Limited, is hereby revoked effective July 19, 2012. Such revocation is pursuant to Section 65(1)(h) of the Revised Statutes of Anguilla, Chapter S13 of 2006. Mr. Horsford has ceased to carry on the business of a representative in the Eastern Caribbean securities market. Please note that these licenses were cancelled and thus cannot be used to transact securities businesses within the Eastern Caribbean securities market. The Division of Agriculture is conducting a series of sensitization meetings to educate farmers, exporters, traders, and the public on the Black Sikatoka disease on Wednesday, August 1st in Paybush at the Paybush Government School at 3 p.m. Please make a special effort to attend and to be on time. The Ministry of Tourism and Legal Affairs wishes to update their database of service providers, and they would be grateful if the following categories of skilled workers would call in to give their names and contact information to the ministry. Mechanics, joiners, carpenters, painters, power washers, plumbers, electricians, masons, air-conditioned technicians, landscapers, welders, tilers, brush cutters, and any other skilled tradesmen. The telephone numbers to call are 266-3003 or 266-3497. The Ministry of Tourism and Legal Affairs thanks you in advance for your kind cooperation. The cooperative movement, in collaboration with the Calypso Association, invites all Calypsonians, songwriters, masters of ceremonies, media persons, and other stakeholders to a special meeting at the Calypso House in Bath Estate on Friday, 3rd August at 5 p.m. to discuss matters surrounding the cooperative's Calypso competition in October. Please be on time. All those concerned are asked to note the following hurricane shelters and shelter managers for the communities of Point Michelle, Soufriere, and Scott's Head. In Point Michelle, your hurricane shelter is the ground floor of the Point Michelle Community Center. The shelter manager there is Algernon de Gallery, and Yvonne Charles is the assistant shelter manager. In Soufriere, your two hurricane shelters are the Soufriere Christian Union Church, where the shelter manager is Weefely Jules, and the assistant is Shara Andre. And the new section of the Soufriere Government School, shelter manager Wynant Jules, assistant Gloria Angol. In Scott's Head, the Scott's Head Government School is your hurricane shelter. The shelter managers are Adelina Detouche and Conrad Caesar, and the assistant managers are Sonny Bellot and Anthony Caesar. Up next is the tip of the day. Time now for your tip of the day. How can you ensure you're getting enough sleep? Well, you can cut naps short. If you have trouble falling asleep, consider avoiding naps. And at the very least, limit them to less than an hour before mid-afternoon. Also, dealing with stress may help you to sleep better. If daytime troubles keep you awake, try jotting notes about ways to deal with them. And try to leave stress at the bedroom door. And that's National Focus. As usual, we invite your suggestions or comments. Please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm, or you could visit our GIS Dominica page on both YouTube and Facebook. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Pearl Fontaine. Thanks for watching.